Mike and Annie are experts at playing games. They got together because of their excellent teamwork during a game night. Their relationship grew fast through various game nights, and even their proposal and wedding were game-themed, despite being a loving couple. But they have no children after many years of marriage. A doctor's analysis revealed that Mike's low sperm motility was due to he was growing up in the shadow of his older brother Brooks, who was always better than him. One game night, Mike and Annie bought snacks for the party and were seen by their neighbor Gary, a police officer who used to attend their game nights with his ex-wife Debbie. After Gary was divorced from Debbie, Mike excluded him from the game nights for fear that his presence would make them less fun. Gary suspected that they were having a game night tonight and asked to join them. To prevent the evening's atmosphere from being ruined by Gary, Mike and Annie made up an excuse and slipped into the house. Mike's friend sneaked in through the window to avoid being seen by Gary. However, Mike's brother Brooks came driving a beautiful sports car, and the huge engine sound caught Gary's attention. This made Gary realize that he had been completely excluded from the game night. Brooks was indeed extremely charming. His arrival immediately made him the center of attention in the room. During the game, Brooks revealed many embarrassing stories about Mike's childhood, and in the subsequent games, Brooks dominated the game and won easily, while Mike, who was usually good at games, suffered a crushing defeat. This game night was extremely stressful for Mike. After the game, Brooks invited everyone to his luxurious mansion in the rich neighborhood for an unforgettable game night the following week. A week later, Mike and Annie arrived and were stunned by the huge house. Inside, Mike found that his friend Ryan had brought a new girl, Sarah. Ryan was silly and cute but very popular with girls. Brooks then announced that he had hired a professional team to design a crime scene simulation game called Mystery Murder Party. He would be arrested, and the other 6 players had to find him by the clues provided. The person who found him would win a sports car. Just then, there was a knock on the door, and the game began. An FBI agent came in and provided clues according to the script. However, the door was broken down, and 2 masked bandits rushed in, and knocking the agent down, they grabbed Brooks and beat him up. Everyone was amazed by the realistic fight and the professionalism of the actors, but only Brooks knew something was wrong.
That is a strong table.
He was overpowered and taken away by the bandits. After the fight, everyone picked up the clues on the table to study. Mike and Annie decided to break the rules and used Brooks' tablet to try to locate his phone. Ryan and Sarah found the game planning company by checking Brooks' credit card transaction records. Kevin and Michelle followed the clues step by step. However, Ryan locked Kevin and Michelle in the study before leaving. Mike and Annie traced the phone to a bar and saw Brooks tied to a chair in a room. Annie took out the fake gun that Brooks had dropped during the fight and imitated a scene from the movie. They easily subdued the robbers. Ryan and Sarah soon found the game planning company, but discovered that the game director had been shot dead. This scared them. Just when they were terrified, the game director came back to life, and they screamed in fear. It turned out that the game director had just finished another game and fell asleep on the chair before she had time to remove her makeup. Ryan tried to get the final clue from the director, but the director refused to tell them for professional ethics. At this moment, the director received a call from a colleague. By now everyone realized that the fight that had happened earlier was not a game, but the real robbers had kidnapped Brooks. On the other side, Mike and Annie were immersed in the joy of victory. They got the key from the robber and opened the door to the room where Brooks was held and excitedly took a photo with him, enjoying the victory. But Brooks was terrified and told them that what had just happened was not a game he had arranged, but that he had really been kidnapped because his true identity was a smuggler who had offended the Bulgarians in a deal. However, Mike and Annie thought it was a lie made up by Brooks because he couldn't stand losing until the fake gun in Annie's hand accidentally went off and fell to the ground, hit Mike's arm. That the two realized the seriousness of the situation. Just as the kidnappers broke into the house, they slipped out the back door and drove away, with the kidnappers chasing them all the way. In the car, Brooks revealed that he was involved in a dispute. He was supposed to look for an egg for the Bulgarian, but he got greedy and sold the egg to a gang that offered a higher price. If he didn't hand over the egg to the Bulgarians tonight, he would lose his life. To avoid dragging Mike and Annie into trouble, Brooks jumped out of the car and surrendered to the robbers to ensure the safety of Mike's family. Mike and Annie returned home and discussed ways to rescue Brooks with their friends. Ryan suggested using a police computer to search for information about the gang, but the only police officer they knew was their neighbor Gary, so they went to Gary's house, planning to use the opportunity of a game night there to secretly use his computer to search for information. During the game, Mike excused himself to the bathroom and sneaked into Gary's study to log onto the computer and search for information about the gang. However, He didn't notice that the wound on his hand was bleeding. Just as he was about to leave, he saw Gary's dog licking the blood on the ground. Mike tried to clean it up but made a mess, spreading the blood everywhere. Mike didn't care about the mess and went to the living room to end the game. They prepared to go to the gang's hideout and retrieve the egg. According to the address they found on Gary's computer, they located the gang's villa where the rich were holding an underground fighting party. Ryan saw the egg in a safe on the wall and easily took it while everyone's attention was on the fight. However, he was soon discovered by the gang boss. The gang chased Ryan madly, wanting to take the egg back, and the whole villa became a mess. After a series of relay races like a rugby game, they drove away. The friends took the list and the egg and rushed to the place where they were going to trade with the robbers, but the robbers broke their promise and planned to kill them. Brooks was moved and guilty about Mike's arrival and confided his inner thoughts to Mike that he envied his younger brother, who had gone to a good university, married a good wife, and had a happy family, while he was just a social outcast who relied on cheating and swindling. All his achievements were lies he had made up just to make others respect him. To make up for his debt to Mike, he had planned this game night and had already put the key to the sports car in Mike's jacket pocket. The robbers received orders to kill them all and were about to shoot when suddenly sirens wailed and a police car sped up. It made a beautiful drift and stopped. It turned out to be Gary. After a gunfight, Gary finally killed the two robbers. It turned out that after Mike and his friends left Gary's house, Gary found the study covered in blood, and coupled with Mike's suspicious search history, piqued Gary's interest, and he rushed over at the last minute. With a bang, blood gushed from Gary's chest. He was shot by a dying robber. The friends were immersed in grief and said they would invite Gary to every game night from now on and would no longer exclude him. However, Mike touched the blood flowing from Gary and was surprised to find that the blood clots Gary spat out were fake at this moment. Gary jumped up and down cheerfully, saying that the entire event tonight was all his plan. When he noticed that they no longer invited him to game nights, he hijacked Brooks' murder mystery party, arranged two paroled convicts as actors, and planned this thrilling game night. Gary thought that tonight's thrilling game night made everyone have a great time, but just then, with a bang, a bullet passed through Gary's shoulder. Mike thought this was another game arranged by Gary and found it was stupid and boring. Two gunmen walked towards them and kicked Gary down as he was calling for help. It seemed that the real Bulgarians had appeared. Brooks snatched the witness list and swallowed it because he knew the Bulgarians were ruthless, and if he handed over the witness list, he would only have one way out: death. The Bulgarians could only take him away and disembowel him on the plane. Before leaving, to prevent Mike and the others from following, they shot out the tires of the car. Mike thought there was only one private airport nearby and Brooks' house was close by, so he decided to drive the red sports car he had just obtained to chase the plane and rescue Brooks. Fortunately, the sports car was excellent and caught up with the plane before the Bulgarians disemboweled Brooks. Mike imitated a movie trick and used the sports car to ram the plane's front wheel. The method worked, and the plane crashed to the ground without its front wheels and stopped after sliding for a while. Mike hid behind the car, and Annie hid beside the conveyor belt. The gunman searched for them near the conveyor belt. Coincidentally, Annie was not far from the conveyor belt switch. So Mike and Annie started a game of draw and guess. Mike instructed Annie to turn on the conveyor belt, hoping the cargo would fall and kill the gunman, but the conveyor belt moved so slowly that it even fascinated the gunman. Annie took the opportunity to knock the gunman unconscious with a fire extinguisher. The two worked together, Annie calling the police and Mike going into the plane to rescue Brooks. Mike jumped down from the top of the plane, but unexpectedly, a robber threw a knife and just hit the bullet hole in Mike's arm. Then he charged and knocked Mike to the ground. The two men fought each other. Mike couldn't defeat the robber, and the robber got the gun first at this critical moment. A fire extinguisher fell from the top and knocked the robber unconscious. Annie untied Brooks' hands, and Mike successfully controlled the robber. In this way, Mike and Annie successfully rescued Brooks. This victory also resolved Mike's psychological problem, and he no longer envied the life Brooks had fabricated before. He became more confident and happily planned with Anne about having a baby in the future.